The Steve Dangle Podcast with your hosts, Steve Dangle, Adam Wilde, and Jesse Blake.
We have a show to announce, like a live show, like an event today. Guys, are you ready?
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
I already know, so it's not that exciting.
It's not that exciting?
I already know. So
Well, I know you know.
It's not an announcement for me.
SGP is taking Kingston again. But this time, it's with a team you might have heard of.
Whoa. Is it the Oshawa Generals?
No, it's the Kingston Frontenacs. Wow! Steve Dangle Podcast taking over the Kingston Frontenacs game against the Saginaw Spirit on Sunday, January 21st, 2024 for Steve Dangle Podcast night. So it's a full takeover of the game. So we're going to be involved throughout the whole thing. We are going to be skating with you before the game on the ice. We're going to be the MCs during the game for the Frontenacs.
Amazing.
Okay? We'll be taking part of the intermission games and obviously interacting with fans, whether they know us or they don't. And then following the game, we're going to be at the Merchant Tap House, which is right across the street. We wanted to make sure that you didn't have to walk very far for the Steve Dangle Podcast live show. And there is only 2 ways to attend. You can buy your tickets in 1 of 2 bundles. And the bundles are cool. We tried to keep the prices as low as we could.
Tell me about the bundles, Adam.
Because we know that it's hard out there. So, VIP bundle. There's only 75 tickets of these available.
Give me the VIP.
And it is $65.
Whoa.
Here's what you get. A ticket to the Frontenacs game, January 21st, 2024 versus Saginaw.
Bang.
A ticket to the Steve Dangle Podcast live show at the Merchant Tap House following the game.
Bang.
With VIP seating at the restaurant, so you can
Bang.
get close. A meal voucher for the Merchant Tap House to be used during the live show.
Bang.
There's a menu they're going to have for you, so you get basically a free meal, and you get to be a part of the pregame skate / meet and greet with the Steve Dangle Podcast crew and Barrick the Bear.
Oh,
Barrick the Bear will be there.
No way.
Yeah, so that's really cool. So for $65, you get the skate,
Everything.
VIP seating, free food,
A live show.
and a live show.
Yeah.
All that. The standard bundle, there's 105 of these tickets. You get to go to the game. You get to see us at the Merchant Tap House. You get to have the meal at the Merchant Tap House. And obviously, so that's only $50. So it's a pretty sweet deal. Okay. To get tickets, head to KingstonFrontenacs.com right now and act fast because we don't anticipate these tickets lasting long.
Axe fast.
Act fast.
And in terms of like timing stuff, what time does the game start?
2:00. It's a Sunday, Saginaw. So here's the thing. We figured that it would be a fun thing. We don't want to do it on a Saturday night because we know it'll be Hockey Night in Canada. So it'll be a nice Sunday. And then we'll get to go to the Merchant Tap House afterwards, do a show around, I would say, 5 or 6.
6, yeah. So, yeah. And beforehand, the skate, like, we got to get there like 90 minutes beforehand.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
So I believe the skates at around noon.
Okay.
So it should be like, or even a little bit earlier, like 11.
Yeah.
So it's we're still working out some of those details.
No, but like it's a whole day.
Yes.
Is what I'm trying to get at. Like
Yeah.
we're starting your day at like 11 with us on the ice, and we're going until 2, and then we get the game, and then we're doing the whole game, and then we get to drive over to the Merchant Tap House, and then you get another live show, and then you just get to hang out there and eat, and you get free meals and everything.
Yes.
It's a whole Sunday's worth of experience with the SDP.
You'll be sick of us by the end of it.
And here's the thing. The reason that we couldn't have every ticket available for the ice skating thing, which is the VIP thing, is because of the fire codes. They only allow so many people on the ice.
Only so big.
Yeah. Well, they're like, well, there's too many people, and if there was a fire, we couldn't get that many people out.
Nathan Phillips Square, however, says fuck the codes.
Oh no,
everybody's getting on.
There will be no codes. You can't even skate. You're just
it's
relying
awful.
on the person behind you to push you.
Do you want to be in danger at all times? Come to Nathan Phillips Square.
But we, on the other hand, will respect the rules of the ice and only have a certain amount of people on there.
That's right. And Barrick the Bear.
Get out
Come
there
on.
with 3,000 other Torontonians on the standard pad of ice.
Oh, yeah.
So we're very, very excited to do this. We're so excited. The Frontenacs, actually, it's funny. They reached out during our St. Catherine's show, and they were like, hey, that's not Kingston. And I'm like, well, and then I wrote back and
You're
I was
right.
Like, it could be. And that's how this all came together, literally over some Instagram comments. So the Kingston Frontenacs, shout out to their Instagram page for making this happen. We're so excited. It's going to be a lot of fun. So again, $65 for the VIP, $50 for the regular. And again, you're getting free meal, ticket to the game, and obviously a big show with us, and we'll hang out and have a good time.
I like that photo that you were using.
Yeah.
What am I going to do with them?
I also love that you're wearing a V-neck. I haven't seen you wear a V-neck in years.
Yeah, I got
Look at that
fat.
V. It's a deep V.
No,
I think it's more like I'm Jesus.
No, that's not what I'm doing.
I think it's like, look at me, the Messiah.
Yeah, and I'm looking up at my dad.
There you go.
That's
Get
what
your
I'm
two
doing.
hands out. Like, here's some fish. Here's some wine.
No, it's more like, oh, here we go. More hijinks from these two. It's bordering on shoving buddies. Right there.
So anyway, we're really excited. January 21st, 2024. And by the way, that is not the only event that we have coming up in the new year. We're working on some really exciting things.
The Sphere. No.
Can't
Yeah,
tell you
Adam
any of it.
bought the sphere from
I bought
James
the Sphere.
Dolan.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm charging Gary Bettman rent now.
Adam's now the front man in the dad band.
Yes. No, I think I think we're really excited for the live event stuff for the new year. So Kingston is just the first of a few. We will have more details as the weeks go on. But there's a lot going on in the new year in 2024 for SDP.
I don't wanna spoil anything, but O2.
The O2 Arena.
O2? Yeah, we're going to sell at the O2 in London.
Adam, I said
Oh, yeah.
now we can't do it.
Yeah, you're right.
Now we can't do it.
expecting that. That was
Yeah. Call them and say, sorry, guys, we already blew the secret. Now we have to cancel the gig.
Who's the King Charles?
Here, let me
Yeah.
type in a bunch of weird
It's
numbers.
King Charles's
first and-
house, isn't it?
Yeah, we got to call
can't-
King.
yeah.
Hey,
Charles,
Chuck.
Yeah.
Hey, we can't come.
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah, it was Adam.
let's talk about the Leafs 2 games in New York. We have a Islanders loss, but a moral victory. And we have a Rangers win. And I think we'll start with the Rangers win because that's the most recent. The Leafs win over the Rangers. Really good defensive performance and probably among the two best defensive performances they've had
Like back to back
this year. But offense was really the story. So we'll start it off with, am I the only one that didn't know that Martin Jones was Canadian? My entire life, I
yeah.
assumed Martin Jones was had a North American name, but was from Europe. I thought he was from Finland or Sweden or something. I don't know why.
Martin Jones?
I know.
Why did you assume
Last
that?
night when they're like, oh, and there's Martin Jones' dad. He's the VP of the Vancouver Canucks Arena. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what? At Rogers Arena. I'm
No,
like,
there's only one, and that's Brad Lambert from Finland.
right.
He's the only one where you go, yeah?
I never knew Martin Jones was
Was
Canadian.
it because he played for the Sharks for so long and they have so many
That's gotta
good
be it.
European players?
I don't even know. I think
That's
the
gotta be it.
brain just categorizes stuff and doesn't ask questions.
So I knew he was Canadian because I have interviewed Martin Jones.
Have you?
A very long time ago when I was working for RBC Junior Hockey Magazine, and Martin Jones was a member of the Calgary Hitmen.
Ah, I like it.
Yes.
I like it.
Member of the Calgary Hitmen.
Jesse, where's he from? What do you got?
Oh, North Van. He's a North Van product.
Yeah.
I don't know where you're going.
I have no idea. I have no idea. Seems like a very nice guy too, and he had a pretty good game.
Not European.
Yeah, the Leafs had 4 goals in the first period. That's how many shots they allowed on Martin Jones.
So you know what? It was actually 3.
Oh,
Because it was 4 heading into intermission, and then when they came back for the second, I was laughing because they reduced it to 3.
oh, they did reduce it. Okay. Now the dads were chanting something after every goal that the Leafs scored. We don't know what the chant was, but I would very much like to know.
I'm pretty sure it was the chants that Rangers fans chant after they score. I think it was.
Do you know that
Hey,
chant?
hey, 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 hey,
Oh.
and it synced up with the chant they were doing. Except one time it didn't sync up, but I'm like, they're dads.
Yeah.
So I think that's what they were doing.
It looked like they were just having the best time. Austin Matthews' dad especially seems like he knows how to enjoy his kid being in the NHL.
The life of the party is Ty Domi.
Yeah.
Let's not get it twisted.
Yeah.
That man is the party driver of every party he's
100%.
at.
That was so silly. Like, they just had a wide shot of the box, and it's just Ty Domi having a chat with Jim Treliving.
Unreal.
And I'm like, oh, right. Both of their dads are employees of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Or both of their sons, rather.
The other one, Ryan Reeves' dad, low key, seemed like a really good time.
Yes.
Seems like he was there to party and have a good time. And
And it's funny because he seemed like he was having a rip-roaring time against the Rangers. His son wasn't even in the lineup.
I know.
He didn't give a shit.
Team. He's like, who cares?
He was there for a Leaf game, man.
That's right. Now, Austin Matthews became the first NHLer to hit 20 goals this season. He has 21. He was the outright leader in goals for a couple of hours until Brock Besser had a monster game. He now has 21 as well.
Oh, does he?
Yeah. He had a great game for Vancouver.
Did he have a hat trick?
Good win by Van.
I think he had a hattie, yeah.
Because I saw a highlight of his, and it's like, oh, there's his 19th of the season. I was like, still back of Boston. And he's got 21 now?
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
I thought you'd find this funny. On Tuesday, which is yesterday, Matthews became the first NHLer to reach 20 goals, and then his 21st, he did that by game 26. The season that Austin Matthews scored 60 goals, which was 21-22, it took him 30 games to hit 21.
And
so he's ahead of the pace that he was in.
He's arguably already had like 2 slumps.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It doesn't make sense. Does he have more multi-goal games this season than single-goal games? I think he does.
I think so.
He's got at least 5 or 6.
Does he even have a single-goal game? Like, I think most.
Maybe. I think he had 1 in Sweden.
Yeah, because the thing at the beginning of the year was like he can't score outside of scoring 4 goals in a game.
Outside of a hat trick.
Outside of hat tricks, he can't do anything. Single goal games on the season for Austin Matthews, he's at 1, 2, 3, 4. Multi-goal games.
Oh my God, he does.
Let me finish.
Okay, sorry.
Multi-goal games.
No.
He's at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Wow.
That's hilarious.
7-4 multi-goal games versus single-goal games.
Austin Matthews
hilarious.
is the first Leafs player to score 20 goals in 26 games or fewer to begin a season since Wendell Clark in 93-94.
Stupid.
The multi-goal game last night moved him into second all-time on the Toronto Maple Leafs multi-goal list, as in games with multiple goals. Can you name number 1 and can you name number 3?
Gotta be Matt's.
Matt's is number 4.
Oh!
Dead puck. Multi-goal games were really hard.
Austin Matthews has 66 games with multiple goals in his Leaf tenure.
Daryl Sittler, number 1.
Correct.
All right. And number 3.
Hap day.
Half day. No, it's not half day.
Babe die.
80s, guys. 80s.
Babe die.
Oh, Rick 5?
Rick 5 was 64. So, hey, congratulations, Matthews. By the way, randomly on my YouTube yesterday, a game 3 in 1986 between the Toronto Maple Leafs and Chicago Blackhawks came up. And it, like, you can just find it old vintage NHL games and just watch the whole thing.
That is happening for me, except it's not vintage.
Oh.
Every time I show Leo a YouTube video, a hockey YouTube video on my TV, it's like, watch Game 6 of the 2017 Stanley Cup Final. Watch it!
And you're like, how? How is that even on here?
And it just picks up from the last time I watched it.
What was crazy about it, though, is the commercial breaks in the 80s were like one commercial, and then back to the... It'd be like, here's a Molson commercial. Molson, drink it. And then, boom, back to the game. And Wendell Clark was in the box when I started watching. I just picked a random spot. In the box for fighting.
I believe it.
And then he got out, and his first shift got into another fight. And the Leafs swept the series.
How did anyone in the 80s get above 4 seconds of ice time?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Hockey games must have been 4 hours.
Now, going into this game, here were Mitch Marner's expected goals by game, according to Kevin Papetti. This is the previous 10 games. 45.8%, 36.8%, 40.3%, 50.6%, and then it gets bad. 35.4%, 45.9%, 26.4%, 21.9%, 35.6%, and then the Islanders game, 33.2%. But gentlemen,
What does that mean?
last night, that jumped to a 0.81.
We'll get there.
What does that mean?
We'll get there.
No, you just read the number. What does that mean?
Oh, like what does expected goals
a
for?
30% expected goal. I have no idea what that means.
So basically, it's not just like shots or shot attempts. It's I don't know exactly how they calculate the metric, but it's basically how many goals you can expect for or against. You want to be above 50 because that means you can expect more than 50% of the goals that are scored while you're on the ice to be yours, which is how you win a hockey game. You score more than half of the goals in the game.
Okay.
Does that?
I feel like we should have explained that.
Oh, okay.
Oh, fair enough. Sorry. Well, Mitch Marner scoring 2 last night. And listen, people have been hard on Mitch, but you gotta give credit where it's due. That was a spectacular game for him. And it seems like a bit of a, I mean, if he could keep it going, that's been the problem. It seems like he felt better last night. You sometimes you watch these players enough, you feel like you can see it.
He's fighting it this year. There seems to be more of a fire in him, and like he's really low key grumpy. So it was really good to see him have a great game.
Does he have a little bit of like Kyle Lowry energy, where he's like he funnels his anger?
I wish he did. I wish he did. If he's turning into Kyle Lowry, there was a good question I got asked yesterday for the LFR, but I didn't have time to answer it. Is in wrestling terms, like which Leafs are poised for a good face turn and which guys are poised for a good heel turn. Marner, if this was wrestling, would be poised for a perfect heel turn because he's this happy-go-lucky baby face. And a lot of people are like, shut up. It's out there, man. Like, people are just not digging the vibe. I'm seeing, like, people are being really nasty, actually.
Yeah.
Like, beyond valid criticism, which is fine. Every now and then, when the WWE has this wrestler that's just so sweet they make you sick, they turn them heel, and everyone gets right behind it. So, like, if he, turns into a villain, if he just plays every game like an asshole, I think people would love him. Now, here's what I'm not understanding about his really bad expected goals numbers. This is from Nylander Thews on Twitter. Tyler Bertuzzi.
Oh, I have that lined up too.
Oh, well.
I was going to save that for another thing, but that's okay.
But these are related.
Yeah, do it.
Tyler Bertuzzi leads all forwards in expected goals, 61%, shot attempts, 57%, scoring chances, 61%, and high danger scoring chances, 62%, and is third in goals for at 58%. And then he expanded on that last night. The Leafs with Tyler Bertuzzi on the ice tonight, 81% of expected goals, which led the team, 67% of shot attempts, which also led the team. They won his minutes 2-0. So if the Leafs are consistently winning Tyler Bertuzzi's minutes, how are they not also winning Mitch Marner's minutes because that's his line mate?
Well, I think they did last night.
Last night they did.
Are the numbers you reading 5-on-5? Are they power play? Are they penalty kill?
They gotta be
Mitch
Marner
Marner
5-on-5 for Money Puck.
Mitch Marner plays in different situations than Tyler Bertuzzi.
Yeah, but it's not like they'd be getting caved in while on the power play. So like
A penalty kill, like
penalty kill, yeah. No, I'm assuming it's all 5-on-5. If it's penalty kill, it would be a disingenuous stat to present.
Yes.
If it involved a penalty.
and nobody's ever presented a stat in a way that skews their narrative.
No way.
No, that's true.
No.
That's the great thing about stats is they can't be taken and diced up and
I trust these Twitter accounts. I don't trust all Twitter accounts. I trust these two.
So it was great to see Marner get in. Noah Gregor on the top line. How do we feel?
Good for him.
Got an assist?
Yeah. Did you see how he got it?
No. Yeah. I mean, I saw it, but I can't remember it.
I broke it down in the LFR. He dropped the puck for Austin Matthews, then went for a change. Then the Leafs scored 14 seconds later. I mean, they credited him with his second assist of the season. Good for him. Listen, I'm not going to sit here and say he was good. I'm going to sit here and say he deserved it. Mm-hmm. He deserved the opportunity. And
by the way, Matthew Nyes was sick. There was a bug going through the team.
Yeah.
So it's kind of crazy because apparently the whole team is sick, but Matthew Nyes was so sick he couldn't get his skates on.
And they have a 4-game week. They have the New York back-to-back. I think they have Columbus tomorrow, and then they got Pittsburgh Saturday. Mm-hmm. Yuck.
It's probably the same illness Samsonov was dealing with when he couldn't suit up last week. And Lagesson, yeah.
Yeah. Where were we going?
Well, we're talking about Noah Gregor on the top line.
No, like there were like, I mean, he's got the fastest feet in the world, but there were a lot of plays where like either his hands or head did not keep up with the play. But for one night, I don't give a shit. Yeah, just have him out there. And him doing an adequate job in that role is, I think, a byproduct of how good the coaching staff was. Like Sheldon Keefe and the coaching staff have done a really good job the last few games. And it's also a testament to how good the third line has been. That third line is regularly winning their minutes. I think some of that has to do with deployment. A lot of it has to do with, man, they are maximum effort all of the time. And you could have easily broken that up, given Robertson an opportunity on that line. Yarncroke, who has quickly become Sheldon Keefe's security blanket. You could have put him up there on the left wing. But how much of a luxury is it to just take a player off your fourth line and go, you're on the first now, and I trust you like completely. It was great. They smoked him, man.
David Kampf with another goal.
Yeah, he can't be stopped. He can't.
I also want to throw this out there, guys. Jesse, I sent you the clip, and I don't know if we could freeze it. Tic Tac Tomar's got every clip online. He had a busy night last night.
He's the best.
The Jake McCabe hit on Charlie Lindgren.
Good Lord.
I haven't seen a hit that hard thrown by a Toronto Maple Leaf in, it feels like, decades. That was bonkers and clean. Now, he did have to fight afterwards. You have to fight clean hits now.
Meh.
But it was one hell of a hit. And what was crazy about it is because he hit him so hard and then had to fight, the Leafs ended up, because of that hit, getting a power play.
Yes. Man, forget the power play. Screw all that. I want to talk more about the hit.
I don't think Rangers fans are used to seeing hits like that on their players.
It's normally
the other way around.
He knocked that dude horizontal. Lindgren is not a small player.
No.
He tuned him. And I felt bad because the game was in Madison Square Garden. It had a lot of Leaf fans. Oh, sorry. It wasn't just that the game was in Madison Square Garden. It was a Leaf game in Madison Square Garden on the dad's trip.
Yeah.
So it reminded a lot of Leaf fans of Dion Phaneuf's hit on, I think it's Kurt Sauer. And people brought up the clip. What a lot of Leaf fans don't know, but Rangers do, is that hit ended Sauer's career. It was the last game he ever played in the NHL.
Really?
Phaneuf demolished that guy. And we remember that clip because they show Phaneuf's dad's reaction, and there's some funny clips because it's a dad reacting to his son laying a big hit. And that happened again in this game when they showed Jake McCabe's dad. But a lot of Leaf fans don't know what that hit did to Sauer. Always eventful when the Leafs' dad's trip rolls through New York, because I pointed that out, the similarity between McCabe and Phaneuf. And yesterday in the CJ Show chat, Chris Johnston pointed out that I think it was the last time the Leafs' dad's trip was at Madison Square Garden. Jack Campbell was acquired.
Oh, and they pulled... What did he say? They pulled one of the dads
Trevor
off.
Moore.
Trevor Moore's dad.
They pulled him off the bus.
They pulled him off the bus because his son got traded. So if you wonder why the LA Kings put him in the starting lineup and he murdered the Leafs in his first game back in Toronto, that's why.
So let's have a look at this if we can freeze frame it mid Charlie Lindgren in the air, Jesse. Is that possible? Can we see? That's the skates.
His skates are off the ice.
Are off the ice, and there's nothing to argue with. This is a very clean hit. It's like Trouba, except it's not even riding the line. It's a perfect hit.
He admired his pass, man. He admired his pass.
The thing about the penalty afterwards is that's how that should work 100% of the time. If somebody delivers a clean hit and you have the opposing player come over there and start a little scrum with them, that should be a penalty, a power play every single time for the team that delivered the clean hit. It makes no sense that you just get roughing against your team if you delivered a clean hit. So I love that the officials called it that way.
Finally.
I'm going to send you... Oh, my God. I want to send you a couple more screenshots of that hit, if you don't mind. Here, let me airdrop them to you. Dude, it's so bad. It's so... And, because Lindgren appears to be fine, I'm happy to emphasize it. You know what I mean? He knocked that dude horizontal.
Yeah. Yeah, and so the reason I wanted to bring this up and talk about it was not just the hit itself, but it's the change in playing the Toronto Maple Leafs this year. Steve mentioned something a couple episodes ago. And even when they lose, the Leafs now are not an easy out. There's pain associated.
They're a long night every time.
And
They're a long night.
what, like, forget over a 7-game series because we're so far removed from the playoffs at this point, it really doesn't matter. What does that do for a team in the regular season? Why does that matter?
Because there's 82 games. That's so many games. And there are games you have to get up for, and there are games where you just don't have the physical or mental energy to get through this. There are 2 teams that come immediately to mind. 3 now. Unfortunately, they're all in the Atlantic. The Lightning, for the longest time, win or lose, were a long night. They would grind you physically. They had unmatched speed for certain guys, and they had wild skill. The Boston Bruins, man, every time the Leafs play them, it's a long night. Dude, their Twitter fan base is a long night. I'm like, oh, God, everything is going to be from the invention of hockey. It's just going to be a long night. And they're turning into this, the Florida Panthers. Are just a long, exhausting night. But see, it's the combination. You can't just be this goon squad, and the Leafs aren't. The skill has been there. The speed has been there. Like the stick work has been there. Like we know they can stick check. Now they're relentless on the forecheck. They don't relent the puck. They don't give it up to you, and they grind you. And honestly, once a game, someone blows someone the hell up. Like whether it's McCabe or Benoit's blown guys up recently, Lagesson has blown guys up recently.
And he's always pushing somebody after the whistle. Lagesson's always grabbing someone.
He's an asshole. It's the best. When did Calle Yarncroke get this ridiculous vendetta against the New York Rangers? Dude, from puck drop last night, he was just just being a complete dick to everybody on that team. It was awesome. They're a long, exhausting night.
Jesse, what do you got there on your screen?
Just the hit still.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
He looks like a flying carpet. Look at that. He looks like a crushed pop can.
Looks like somebody just erased his legs.
Look at that. Yeah. Wow. He looks like an AI-generated player.
That's
getting
nuts. Hit. Or NHL 2004 replay.
Dude,
it's a little bit pixelated.
And he just wasn't. Now wait a sec. What's the conversation that we've been having
with the Leafs?
That it's a hard hit, right? Mm-hmm. But why did he get hit?
Well, because he was admiring his pass.
He was admiring his pass. Now, compare and contrast this with the conversation we had last episode. Mm-hmm. Well, he wasn't protecting himself. Is Ryan Lindgren protecting himself here? No?
No.
Does he have his head on a swivel here? No. Who was the onus on to lay a clean, legal body check?
Well, Jake McCabe.
Jake McCabe. Every time a player gets hit with a dirty hit, we're like, well, what were they doing? Why weren't they doing it properly? Jake McCabe could have blasted this guy in the brain, and people would have said that shit. They would have been like, well, he was admiring his pass. Don't admire your pass. It's the no-hit league. That's a hit. That's a great, clean hit. Jacob Trouba would have nodded his head at that hit. It's clean, and you don't got to be a dirty prick about the hit. It's still the hitter's responsibility to lay a clean hit. Good on Jake McCabe.
There you go. I got a question for you.
What's that?
Are you looking out for your cheeks?
Always.
No, I mean the down there cheeks. The butt cheeks.
I knew what you meant.
Okay, good. Listen, SeatGeek is a way that you can make sure that your butt hits the right seats and you are at the right events. Okay? SeatGeek, 28 million downloads. It's the #1 rated ticketing app in the world. 70,000 events with SeatGeek every single day, including sports, concerts, festivals. Jesse?
I want tickets to a Chiefs game so I can go see the Taylor Swift show.
You can do that. You can do that. You could also see the Chiefs get robbed in the last minute, by the way.
All right,
that was
Patrick
a BS
Mahomes.
Whoa,
Calm
BS
down.
Whoa.
Adam Mahomes.
Easy, Patty.
Refs usually back them off when they're on the line of scrimmage, but he didn't do it that time.
All right.
All right. Yeah, listen, with the NHL, the NFL, the NBA, all in full swing. SeatGeek has your tickets to every single game, plus artists that are on tour right now, like Taylor Swift.
Oh!
Travis Scott. And also each ticket is rated on a scale of like 1 to 10. So if you look for the green dots, green means good, red means bad. Every ticket is backed by the buyer guarantee too. So SeatGeek is the only site that lets you return your tickets ahead of the event with swaps, which is really, really good. And listen, we wanted to come through for you guys. Use our code SDP. You're going to get $20 off your tickets at SeatGeek. That's $20 off your first purchase with the promo code SDP. Make sure you click the link in the description in order to download the app. Hey, this episode's brought to you by BetterHelp. Now, I want to say that we've been talking about this for weeks. It is a tough time of year when you look at your watch and you go, wow, it's dark outside and it's 4:45. Stinks. Now, what did you were saying something earlier.
It's 10 days until the shortest day of the year, and then after December 21st, all the days get longer.
We start working backwards.
Yeah. But
Winter solstice.
But then it's cold, and it's really cold. And that can be hard on your mental health. And that's why we recommend, and this is something that I do every single month. Sometimes on the harder months, I go to every week. I'm not going to lie. Seeing a therapist.
Good for you.
You know, it can really, really help you. It's important to go to the gym. It's important to eat well. And it's important to make sure your mental health is taken care of. And the great thing about BetterHelp is there's plenty of ways that you can reach out. You get matched with somebody in like 48 hours. If that doesn't work out, because you need to have like a chemistry, right? Like I got a chemistry with these guys. You got to have a chemistry with your therapist, right?
Thanks, Boo.
Basically, if that doesn't work, then they'll switch you to somebody else and maybe you try that out. You can do it over text. You can do it over video call. You can do it over phone call. And again, like we said, you can get started really, really quickly. It's the season of giving, and you should give to yourself with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/STP today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/STP. The Leafs have, they walk away with 3 points in 4 games. I want to talk about the Islanders game for a second.
Nah, they lost that one. I don't think we should.
They did lose that game, but there was a moral victory. And we're usually on this show sick and tired of moral victories with the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Nah.
But John Tavares getting 2 points, getting his 1,000th point with 4 seconds left.
And they lose anyway.
Yeah, they lose anyway, but they tie the game. I mean, first off, you called it.
I called my shot.
But also, I mean, it to be honest with you, it was pretty satisfying watching him do that in New York.
It was awesome. I shout out to the Leaf fan in Long Island. I got people who were pissed. They're like, it's on Long Island. Bullshit. It's in. When Tavares got his goal, he just goes, one more. And I don't think he was looking at another Leaf fan. I think he was probably giving it to the Islanders fans who were just ripping them all night. I
heard from a Leaf fan from the island.
In the island?
On the island, but he's from it. His name's TJ Cordone, and I guess he grew up in a non-hockey household, but he went...
That's a Long Island name.
He basically went to college about an hour away from Buffalo. His roommate was a diehard Sabres fan. He's like, the first game I ever saw was Leafs versus Sabres. So he said, I started cheering for the Leafs as a joke. And, you know, to bother his buddies.
Screw you.
And he's like, and then I fell in love with the sport. And so I decided to stick with the Leafs. And he's like, I've questioned my life choices ever since. But he sent me a picture. He has like a Toronto Maple Leaf painted on his wall in his basement.
Nice.
In his man cave.
Love it.
And he sent me this message. He said, hey, Adam, I wanted to give you some context here because I live on Long Island.
Nah. No, you don't.
He's like, I honestly could care less if we lost an OT. That was such a great achievement to be there and watch. And the fact that it was against the Isles coming in the final minute of the third made it even more sweeter. He said those fans were absolutely sour. After the bench cleared, they honored him by celebrating 1,000 points on the Jumbotron with a pic of him in an Islanders jersey, and people lost their minds. He said, despite the win, I don't think a single Islanders fan left that arena happy last night, and it was glorious.
I'm mad they scheduled it for a Monday because
it
wasn't the
Saturday
same
night game.
It wasn't. They were, dude. Tavares' first game back in Long Island
It was crazy.
Was a Metallica concert. And all game, ballistic, absolutely ballistic. Good on the Leafs for scoring first. It's super key in that friggin' building, especially for the Leafs.
Also,
They have Tavares,
starting your best goalie.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah,
that's
fucking
certainly
Babcock.
helped. Yeah.
Honestly.
Oh my God, I forgot about that.
They started the backup goalie.
It was Garrett Sparks.
Yeah.
I really.
Babs
There's
is the
so
worst.
many. That's such an underrated piece of shit decision that he made.
Yep.
Thank you for reminding me, so I can be mad about that the whole way home.
I know. I'm sorry.
He started Garrett Sparks.
Yes, he did.
In that fucking game. Never forgive him.
Bad guy.
You stink.
As Jeff O'Neill likes to say, bad guy.
That's a money on the board game. You stink.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. He got a job after that. You stink. Anyway, where was I going with
You're
that?
talking about Tavares, and you're sad that it wasn't on a Saturday night.
Oh, well, and like people were complaining, like, oh, how can you boo him? It's his 1000th. Like, if you compare that with the first couple games that he returned to Long Island, they have toned it down.
Well,
they
sure,
booed him
it's
every
been-
time he got
Steve,
the
it's been 6 years.
Yeah, I
man.
know.
I mean, I like. Listen, I understand and can respect because I'm a Toronto Maple Leafs fan and I'm a Toronto Raptors fan. I'm a Toronto Blue Jays fan. It sucks watching your best player walk out the door because they don't want to be there anymore. We can relate. We're on that level. I get it. I watched Vince Carter quit on the Raptors. The difference was we booed him in the first game back, maybe the first few games, and then after a couple years, we just kind of moved on.
I'm mad at Ohtani. He's never put a Jays jersey on.
So here's what I would say, and most of Tavares' points, by the way, came in an Islanders uniform, more than 50%
For now.
for now. If an Islander fan, and this goes for all 31 other franchises, so if you're a fan of anybody else other than the Islanders, I get it. The Islanders don't want to let it go. They want to boo him. It's fun, cool. If an Islanders fan ever tells you to get over something,
No.
they can't.
I don't know
That's
if
off
they
the
would.
board.
I
Off
don't know
the
if
board.
they would.
Oh, I think they would.
Yeah?
Yeah, you need to get over it. People do that all the time. If an Islanders fan ever says rent free, that's off the board. You can't say that. Islanders fans cannot say rent free anymore.
That's so true.
You
That's
know,
very
like that,
true.
That chirp is done.
You get to fart in their coffee.
100%.
No.
100%. You
not allowed to
don't
say
let them
that.
away with this. I'm just telling you. And again, Islanders fans are some of the most passionate in the league since the Tavares dust up. And we back in the day like went to war with some of these fans. They've been actually really cool. Super, super nice people. And like I've nothing but good experiences with Islanders fans since then.
Yeah.
But it's like in terms of fan bases too, like they're not as like they're just raw Islanders. They're not as much we hate you except it's John Tavares, except for when it's him. I feel like I'm like, okay, that's your thing. You want that to be your thing, you own that thing. But there are concessions you have to make. Rent free is one of them. You can't say that.
It would have been nice to see them cheer for the 1000th point, like when his picture is up on the board, and then go back to booing. I think that would
be funny.
That
would be
that would have been a good compromise so that we know it's like this is a thing that we're going to boo him forever. But for this accomplishment in your career, we'll at least applaud for that because we know it's just a sporting thing. And we don't personally hate you. And you have this magical accomplishment.
Yeah,
they
Let's
do
cheer
personally
that.
hate him.
Yeah, but so they booed throughout that whole thing. So it seems like it's very personal.
Yeah, no, I think all the Islanders fans listening right now would be like, it is personal and we do hate him, actually.
It would have been nice to see, like, hey, we have a differentiator where this is a sports thing and we'll boo you when you're on the ice, but this accomplishment is cool. And that didn't happen.
Oh, no, it's both.
Carlo Koliakovo tweeted that, he's like, come on, it's his 1000th point. Can't you just cheer him? And then Wyshynski retweeted him, and he's from the area, and he's like, that's an unhinged take. That's just in the context of Islanders fans. It's just not going to happen.
I understand where Carlo's coming from, but like, dude, you've played there. Maybe they were just bad, like for Carlo's whole career, basically.
Well,
which is true.
The thing about Tavares, we talk about like legacy. I know Arthur Staple got a nice little meh in on his Athletic article, like, oh, the Jays fans are going to boo Ohtani. Like, so it's definitely the same. No, John Tavares gave the Islanders 8 years and
What
made
did he
them
write?
relevant.
What did he write about Ohtani?
It was like, I'll pull it up here. I'll read it to you because it's an interesting take. And essentially what he was saying was like, listen, you guys are gonna get on us for booing. And he's like, especially the Toronto media, which, we're a part of.
You know what? Say what you want about this show. At least we're upfront about the fact that we're fans.
Here's the Arthur Staple, what everyone doesn't get about Islanders fans booing John Tavares. Like, here's the thing. I always love when journalists tell us that they're not also fans of the team. Because if they were not, I don't think an article like this gets
No,
written.
all these journalists who work in sports got into it because they hate sports.
Yeah. We're fans growing up. It was like, I guess if I have to be a beat reporter.
No, as soon as they got the job, their fandom, they just left.
But Dad, I want to be a doctor.
No, you
will be a beat reporter.
You'll get a good union job, good safe union
No
job.
son of mine's going to be a doctor. You gotta be a beat reporter.
You're gonna write for a newspaper for 80 years because you hate sports and you're not a fan of it.
Why is there a med school application in the mailbox? Get out of my house.
So I'm going to pick it up at the end. I'm not going to read. I'm not the Athletics audiobook reader, so I'm going to read pieces of this article. You can go and check it out yourself. Tavares agonized over the decision to leave, but he still left. The Islanders have had sand kicked in their faces for a long while, and that was just one more bad day at the beach. There's no arguing who's had the better 5 years since, and it isn't the Leafs. Perhaps that's why Toronto media and fans get so puzzled over the boos. The Leafs got their guy. The Islanders got some glory, right? Because they went to the conference finals 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
2 years in a row.
It sounds like we're even.
Yeah. But to be a fan means you're going to boo. And I agree with that statement.
I agree.
Sure.
For Isles fans, for now and maybe a little while longer, forever, Tavares is the guy. You don't have to understand it, but it's time to accept it. Cal Clutterbuck said, if it gives them a little justice, so be it. And then here's where the Leafs Jays thing comes in.
Clutterbuck played with him in Oshawa, too.
Yeah. They're buddies.
Yeah.
Lots of Leaf fans are also Blue Jays fans, I hear.
Correct.
The Jays
Good
just
guess.
lost out on the chase for the Jays just lost out on a big chase for a big-time free agent, which stings. But maybe they'll understand why Shohei Ohtani chose the Dodgers and Los Angeles, and they'll respect his choice and support him when he comes to Rogers Center next season and in seasons to come.
That's
right?
pretty funny. That's pretty funny.
It's funny, but it's also weak. We're not booing. I'm sure Ohtani gets booed like one time.
I don't think for the next 10 years, the life of that contract, every time Shohei Ohtani comes to Toronto, he's going to get booed.
I don't think so.
That's
either.
not going to happen.
I think it'd be better if he did, though.
That'd
He should get
be
booed.
insane.
Why should he get booed?
I don't
should get
He
know.
shouldn't get booed at all.
By virtue of he's the best player.
Okay. All right. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, so here's my thing with that. And again, I know he's just getting a little jab in, and I'm not going at Arthur Stable for this, but it's kind of one of those where you're like, it's a bit different because Tavares did good things there. Lots of good things. Got them their first playoff victory, and ours, in like over 20 years, and scored the winning goal in both series.
Ohtani didn't even have dinner here.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, I don't think they're the same.
They're not the same.
But I don't know. I understand why they're not over it, but I guess it'll just keep going on forever. Like this is it till he retires.
It doesn't bother me.
They hate John Tavares.
He hasn't played for the Islanders since 2018.
I will, as long as we're talking about Ohtani tropes,
Yeah.
I will say it'll be bad for the sport when the Islanders stop booing Tavares.
Okay.
It's
Why?
good to have this shit.
Oh, I agree. I just don't think it makes any sense.
Yeah.
I'm not against fan being fan. I'm the one on the show being like, no, don't tell me not to be a fan. I'm just saying that particular moment doesn't make sense to me.
Nah, I
I think at a certain point,
it makes it funnier
6
to me.
years,
honestly.
you got to get over it.
We can't,
Or maybe you don't.
we can't tut them for reacting a certain way when, we routinely complain that Scotiabank Arena is a morgue. You know what I mean?
I think those are two different things.
Yeah.
They're two
Yeah, they're
completely
opposites.
separate things, and they're not even related. Scotiabank Arena is a morgue because of
I
ticket
don't
prices and the income level.
That
That is not-
that is a factor.
Yeah, and they're all business seats.
Yes.
The Islanders fans are passionate, but that has nothing to do with the fact that they're booing Tavares. You understand that? That is
I
completely two
think
separate things.
I understand Steve's point in that it illustrates more passion than you'll get out of Scotiabank Arena.
Agreed.
And I don't disagree with that at all.
Agreed.
So if we're sitting here complaining about Leafs fans sitting on their hands and they have a fan base that goes above and beyond what you're supposed to do as a fan, then maybe we should be applauding it.
Okay. You guys go ahead. I'm not going to applaud it. It's like, okay, fine.
It's like
I'm
when-
just saying the next time an Islanders fan chirps you for anything, remind them.
No, but it's like when you ask an athlete to be honest in a press conference and then you rip him for being honest. It's like Patrick Mahomes stuff where he was being a giant crybaby.
Oh my God.
You should rip him for his reaction, but you shouldn't rip him for being passionate.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
like that's what we want out of athletes, to entirely show their emotions. So the fact that he did that, we should not applaud him for being a giant crybaby, but we should at least not criticize the action of doing it. And with the Islanders fans, maybe we shouldn't be criticizing them doing it because this is the passion we want out of fans. Like, this is when you go to a city and you have their fan base, you'd rather have them have this than nobody show up to the arena and just sit on their hands.
Adam, like, I got to say, this take, you're hurting the economy with it.
What do you mean?
Well, because when Long Islanders come to Toronto, they're not going to have to pay for a hotel or Airbnb.
Why? Because they'll be rent-free in my
They're
head?
rent-free right in your head.
Oh, man.
Whoa! Oh, who let bro cook?
I think it would have been nice to see them cheer for the 1,000th point. That's the only thing that bothered me a little. I think it would.
But they're not nice, and that's
I think
okay.
it will have been a little cute, but yeah, they can boo if they want.
I still
Who
want to see a
cares?
game at UBS.
That'd be awesome.
UBS badly.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, we were talking about that a couple years ago. That almost happened. So
Yeah, in the middle of the pandemic.
freaking COVID.
Yeah.
Oh,
Steamroll.
sorry.
Let's-
Here, I'm an Islanders truther. Did it work?
Let's move on to the Pittsburgh Penguins and Pittsburgh Penguins fans.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
You're friggin' welcome.
So we talk about on the last episode them going an entire month without scoring a power play goal. They break that streak, Jake Gensel, in the first period.
Of course.
And then we talk about the fact that Jeff Carter has 2 points in 20 games. And what's he do?
He scores a friggin' goal.
2 goals.
2?
Yeah.
One of them on a breakaway.
Oh, stop
What
it.
it was vintage Jeff Carter.
Short-handed.
Short-handed.
Stop
Yeah.
it. What's
And
he
the
even
other-
doing out there?
And the other one
That's crazy.
Was a power play.
on the power play.
They had 2
Stop.
power
He scored
play
a power play goal after they went a month with none. They got 2 and 1 from Jeff.
So no even strength goals. Bum.
Yeah, no.
And we talked about, like, why do we have him on the second power play unit? I guess we know.
That's hilarious.
So here's the other thing, man. Buy your tickets now because we trashed the Penguins, and the last time we did this, they won 2 straight cups.
Oh, 100%. Didn't they get hot too?
Well, they fired their coach. Yeah, they fired
this
their coach.
season, I mean.
When we trashed them, they fired their coach, got a new coach, won the cup.
We were talking about firing Jim Rutherford because like they did the Kessel trade. They ended up firing their coach and we're like, oh, you stink. Like, oh, geez. Like you made a go for it move and you got worse. Like, how don't you view this as a failure? 2 straight cups.
It's amazing.
Largely on the back of that acquisition.
Yes.
Phil Kessel's best years in the NHL weren't in Toronto.
No, Pittsburgh.
They were in
And
Pittsburgh.
his first playoff performance, that was crazy.
Dude, he's a wildly successful playoff performer. Like in terms of like points per game, point totals, like compare him to NHL history. You can talk about, oh, he was sheltered, whatever. Like, well, then let's just discount every number Mark Messier put up, except for the 1 cup in Edmonton that he won by himself and the one in New York. The ones with Gretzky don't count. All of his numbers with Gretzky don't count because he was on the second line.
Yeah, no.
You know what I mean? That's not how the sport works.
With the Pens game last night, none of the goals came at 5-on-5. Even their one at the end of the game was an empty netter, so there was 6-on-5.
Love that.
And then the Arizona Coyotes scored all their goals on the power play as well. And the game should have been even more lopsided, but the Arizona Coyotes currently have the best goaltender ever to ever play the game of hockey in Connor Ingram, who stopped over 40 shots on goal.
He got me 5 fantasy points last night, and when I saw that, I thought they won.
No, he allowed 3 goals. But
No, he just made 1 billion saves.
yeah, the Penguins just peppered him all night, and he was stopping a lot of it, but he couldn't do everything by himself.
No.
Yeah. I was disappointed Michael Coney didn't score again because what he's doing is unbelievable.
Dude.
Former Leafs organization member.
He was with
Is
the
he?
Marlies, and he was involved in, I want to say it was the Zaitsev-Ceci trade.
Yeah.
So he was on.
That's what I don't get upset about. That's like Carter Verhaeghe in 2017. People are like, oh, the Leafs should take that Taylor Beck deal back. I'm like, no, they
I
shouldn't.
mean, yeah.
Nobody saw that coming.
Took him a while before he hit.
And I'm happy for Carter Verhaeghe. I really am. But like,
I'm happy for Michael Carcone.
yeah. And isn't Trevor Moore having just a crazy year too?
Dude,
5-on-5.
He's been good for years now.
Carcone, Verhaeghe, doesn't really count, but whatever. Mikheyev is going off. Hyman is going the fuck off.
Yeah, he's having a great year.
So is I think Trevor Moore leads the Kings in goals.
That's amazing.
Dude, it's crazy.
The weirdest thing about Carconi is his shooting percentage. He's shooting at 35%. That's why
bonkers.
this third line player currently has 14 goals and 3 assists and is amongst the league leaders. It's the 35% shooting percentage. And it's kind of like an anomaly because they're not playing him anymore. He hasn't been moved up in the lineup at all. He's still playing only 11 minutes a night.
That's hilarious.
But he has 14 goals and is shooting 35%. It's crazy to watch.
Elite shooters shoot in the neighborhood of like 15 to 20.
Yeah, like Austin Matthews.
He's 30.
When he's on fire, Matthews will shoot like 16%.
That is absolutely bananas.
Yeah.
Wow.
But this was Penguins conversation. Good for the Penguins
right.
figuring out the special teams because that's the only thing that's been holding them back. Everything else seems to be clicking.
It's a very emotional sport, right? Like, slumps kind of become themselves.
Yeah, they snowball. It's like they're running down a hill.
Look at the Sharks. They're 9-7-2 since they went 0-10-1. Maybe it's a flash in the pan for the Penguins, or maybe they just figure it out. There's no reason for their power play to be this shit.
Who has the crazier comeback story? Doesn't even have to be in the numbers. The Oilers, who have just won, I think, 8 straight now?
I think it's 8, yeah.
Or the Pittsburgh Penguins, potentially. Is last night the turning point for the Pittsburgh Penguins? Are you going to be more surprised by the Oilers making the playoffs or the Penguins? Given where we were a month ago.
I mean, the Oilers, they didn't look like they could. They didn't look like they could play hockey.
For as far out as as bad as the Penguins have been, the Oilers were so much further out than the Penguins will ever be in these standings. And like the Penguins, their goal differential on the season so far is a +8. Like I'm rehashing the conversation, but it's a good team that's just really bad on the power play, and like the teams that are below them is just 2 teams, and one of them just fired their head coach. Like St. Louis Blues were shooting like 8% on the power play.
Yeah.
So far this season, they fired their head coach for it. So
the Metro's freaking jump ball, eh?
Yeah, it's really up in the air. But
I couldn't even tell you who's good or bad.
Right, well, the New York Rangers are good. I think that's
but like they certainly didn't look at last night.
Yeah,
and like
one game,
No, but like Shesterkin's been straight up not good. And
he's been shaky the last couple weeks. Yes,
that's a difficult way to be considered a contender.
If you take the season as a whole, the New York Rangers have been one of the best 5 teams in the entire National Hockey League.
I agree.
Yes.
But what have you done for me lately?
What have you done last night?
Hey,
Last night.
What I'm taking.
we all know December defines the season.
I believe that was Janet Jackson. What have you done for me last night? I believe that was her big hit.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Is that how
Have you never heard what have you done for me lately?
heard?
You haven't, have you?
I'm sure I have.
Oh my
Janet
God.
Jackson.
You don't know Janet?
The Penguins
Bears.
currently sit 4 points back of a playoff spot, but the difficult thing for them is there's 3 teams in between them.
Okay.
That's the tricky part of hopping all those teams. But yeah, they're not far out.
Man, the Metro's wild this year. It's great.
Can you give me an Oilers playoff update?
Yeah.
Because remember,
Actually, no, you can't.
No?
Hang on one sec.
Oh, okay.
Let's talk about the Oilers for a second.
Got it.
Okay. So we had Connor versus Connor yesterday.
Couldn't watch it.
Couldn't watch it. And
Legally.
we
Couldn't watch it
legally in Canada could not watch the game because we needed to watch the Coyotes, and
Penguins.
that was the national game in Canada yesterday.
Leafs Rangers regionally on
Well, that was TSN, and then Sportsnet decided to make the Edmonton Chicago game a regional game.
They didn't decide to do it. Any game on a Wednesday, Saturday, or is it Monday can be a national game because yesterday was a Tuesday. It is not a Canadian matchup. It is not allowed to be a national game.
So the NHL doesn't want to grow its sport.
So the point that
fault.
you made yesterday is the foresight. Is when you have the Connor McDavid, Connor Bedard matchup, you plan your schedule so it lands on a Wednesday or it lands on a Saturday.
Or
that
you
is
make
how you
an
do
exception.
Well,
And say it's Connor versus Connor. You
Yeah.
absolute idiot moron.
yeah, but to avoid going back to the broadcasting rights contracts and doing that, you just have a guy who knows hockey and can plan a schedule and says, make this game fall on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
And then everybody can see it.
Yeah.
like it was national on ESPN. That's good. But
ESPN Plus. You have to have the package.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm reminded of, I had a difficult time tweeting this, so I'll just tell the story. But I used to work at CBC, and when it was announced Sidney Crosby was making his return, unfortunately his first return, because he had to bow out a couple times. But when he initially made his return after like a year against the New York Islanders, it was a random, I don't even know what day of the week it was, game between the Pittsburgh Penguins and the New York Islanders. And CBC didn't originally have the game. The Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, because why would they? It's a game between the Penguins and Islanders. But they picked it up because of its importance. The Islanders sucked. They were horrible at
that
the
was
time.
the identityless Islanders.
It was like 2011 or 12.
They had dark years. In that bad building, too.
Oh,
The old one.
Which one? The one before the Brooklyn one, or the like?
No, yeah, the one before the Brooklyn one.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
yeah,
That's what I
here's-
mean. Like they had a few.
Sidney Crosby's return in a garden shed, and CBC picked the game up. And I was the reason I remember this is they put me in charge of the stream and the chat for the stream, which I had done for the Leafs. So I was like, oh, this should be a piece of cake. I was completely overwhelmed by the amount of people who wanted to watch that friggin' game.
Of course.
And it was a smash success because they put it on a big stage. It sort of, if I remember correct, it sort of had like the day to itself. There wasn't a whole lot else going on. And people gathered for the moment. That's how this should have been pushed. That's how this should have been hyped up. I agree. Like, you move heaven and earth to not just give this like an okay situation. Canada, the States, you move heaven and earth to make this game as big as possible. You advertise it weeks ahead of time, days ahead of time. You make it so that we cannot friggin' forget that it's Connor versus Connor. Now, it's two Western Conference teams. It's a team in the Central Time Zone and a team in the Mountain Time Zone. I'm not asking for it to be put on at 7 o'clock on Eastern on
Air it
Saturday.
at the regular time.
Aired at regular. Well, it was late for the Oilers. It started at 8 locally, which I didn't understand. On a weekday, on a Tuesday. I don't understand. Like, that's not... Like, even if the ratings end up being good, I don't know what they are, it's not as marquee as possible. And they delivered. Bedard got the first goal.
On a crazy wrist shot. I don't know what he's doing to make the puck in his stick do that. It's stupid.
It's speed and power. And what he's doing is so much more impressive given the nothing around him. I'll never forgive the Leafs for dropping 2 to those guys.
I won't forgive you guys for missing this one detail.
Okay.
Yeah.
So okay, let's say it was a national game. Let's say it was picked up. Because by the way, the option exists. You can do it.
Well, I was
saying-
able to watch it, but I have like the I work in hockey package.
Yes, which
Yeah.
is you can write this literally write this
Yes.
off.
Yeah, so you're saying that somebody in the NHL scheduling department looked at Connor McDavid versus Connor Bedard for the first time ever and said, you know what? This should probably be on a Wednesday.
Well, I'm not saying that they necessarily even. I think Sportsnet, being a rights holder, could have said to the NHL, "Can we put this nationally?" And I'm sure the NHL would have said yes. I think that's entirely possible, as we just heard with Pittsburgh CBC picking up a Pittsburgh Islanders game. You can do it. It's just they didn't.
I
think you can. I'm sure the NHL would be like, no, keep it regional, please.
Yeah, but you can avoid that, is what I'm saying.
But
You
that's
can
not even the
avoid
detail I want to
ask.
get into.
Okay.
Not even the detail I want to get into. The detail I want to get into is the fact that when the game started, far as I know anyway, both McDavid and Bedard were sitting on the bench.
Fuck off.
And at very least, at least what I'm seeing from the shift charts here, if Bedard was playing, he was going up against Janmark, McLeod, Fogle, Ceci, and Nurse. That's who the Oilers rolled out there to start.
You know what?
Guys, talk to the NHL teams beforehand and say, I'm sorry, we got to do this. But just like in Sweden, when they started all the Swedes on the first shift, you put Bedard and you put McDavid out there.
That was
End
just
of
Sheldon
story.
Keefe. That was just... I got to say this. We needed Wes McCauley on the case.
You think so?
I'm not even kidding. Remember that one time where he kicked both centers out of the faceoff so that Matthew and Brady Tkachuk could be in the opening faceoff against each other? Which is like, if you're a coach, are you not tearing your hair out at that? Like, what? Like, what happened if that resulted in a goal? You know what I mean? You probably lose your mind. You need someone like West to step in and be like, get the kid and McDavid on the ice
together.
You wieners.
And they didn't. PK Subban was tweeting about it.
You have to. What are you doing? I don't even have a problem with sending out a particular line to shadow Bedard all game. Opening face-off. Get him out there. Get the both of them out there. I assume that's not what Luke Richardson wanted. You probably want to keep Bedard away from McDavid, but get him out there, man. That sucks.
Sell the game a little bit. Please sell the game. Anyway.
You're the Blackhawks. What are you trying to do? Win? Put him out there.
McDavid has, in the 8 games since Knobloch took over, 18 points.
That's it?
Yeah. I think it's 8 games. And when he took over, when Knobloch took over, McDavid was 59th in points, and I believe he is now 8th.
Did you see the stat I had the other day?
Did I see the stat you had the other day?
With McDavid. On Twitter.
Oh, on Twitter. Okay.
Yeah.
What is it?
That's I'm not arrogant enough to be like, I put it in the notes app on my phone.
I wondered if you put
you know it?
In a chat or something. Like, I'm in several chats with you.
No, my bad. So, this is so silly. The other day I tweeted, McDavid has 884 career points.
That's nuts.
I think one game has gone by. He has 888. Given the season he had last year,
he could hit 1,000.
And the streak he's on now, it's very unlikely he hits 1,000, but it's not impossible.
How many points does he have currently?
Career?
Right? No.
Oh, season? After the start he has 38 points in 24 games.
Okay. So last year he had 150 points, right?
Last year he had 153 points in 82 games, which is just over 1.8 points per game. When I sent the tweet, he needed exactly 2 points per game to hit 1,000.
If he stays on track, he's going to do it.
He honestly, by the end of the season, assuming he stays healthy, we're going to be at least talking about the lead up to McDavid hitting 1,000.
It's going to be close, yeah. It'll be either at the very beginning of next season or the end of this season.
Like he's a mutant. He's a complete mutant. Like Tavares just hit 1,000.
How old is he?
He was drafted first overall 2009.
And what's McDavid?
McDavid was drafted first overall 2015. 6 years later.
So Tavares is 33.
So 6-year difference. McDavid's going to beat him to 1,000.
To give you an idea of so McDavid is going to smoke Tavares. Smoke him. To give you an idea, Tavares is on pace to get more points than Martin St. Louis in far fewer games than St. Louis needed. Mm-hmm. He's on pace. John Tavares is on pace to get more points than Daniel Sedin in fewer games. Like maybe 200 fewer games.
Yeah, and where does Sedin sit in top all-time points?
Like 73rd, I think. And McDavid, like Tavares became the 98th person to ever hit 1,000. So, which means McDavid, depending on injuries, could enter the top 100 scorers of all time this season. He will be in the top 100 basically guaranteed by the end of next season. Before he leaves his 20s.
By the end of next season, McDavid will be in like the top 70 all-time in points, because right now at 70 is Dave Taylor, and he's got 1,069.
Yeah,
by the end of the 2025 season, McDavid's going to be top 60 all-time in points.
He's going to turn 27 in January.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
He's a freak.
That's insane.
This is crazy. It's fun to watch. It's so fun to watch. Wow.
So where is McDavid right now in all-time? So he's got 888.
Let me get to the page. He's currently sits 888.
There he is. He's tied with Butch Goring.
He just passed Brad Marchand. Well, they're going to be going head to
400
head.
less games.
Yeah. So
wow.
128 to Connor McDavid.
He's in like half the games.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to pass Peter Bondra, Brad Park, Ray Ferraro, Tony Amonte.
Bobby
Gary
Orr soon.
Roberts.
Bobby Orr within the next
Bobby
probably
Orr,
20
yeah.
games, he'll pass Bobby Orr. And he
Datsuk.
he's going to do it faster than Bobby did it, too, if he keeps going.
Look at these names. Look at these names. You freak of nature. I'm telling you, man. Yeah, Connor 1000 watch. I'm getting in on this nice and early. Listen, it's unlikely. It's going to be extremely difficult to do. The fact that it's even remotely possible.
It's amazing.
You extraterrestrial. Who are you?
How many points, does Phil Kessel have?
Career point. Oh, I know this. I looked it up the other day. 992.
He's 8 away from 1,000.
Oh, somebody's got to sign him.
Someone give him like 100 games to get there.
Yeah, because he's not scoring a lot.
He's not going to get a lot, so he needs quite a bit of games. but
Yeah,
gets
somebody
that.
w's not in the playoff picture should sign Phil, like Chicago. Like, come on, sign him.
Yeah.
By the way, can I ruin your day?
Yes.
Because Grav ruined mine. If the season ended today,
Okay.
the team with the best shot at Macklin Celebrini would be
You're fucking.
the Blackhawks, they're last, right?
Oh, I thought you were going to say Edmonton.
no,
They're not in
the
the playoffs.
Blackhawks. No, the Edmonton Oilers by points percentage are like a point out of the playoffs.
Yeah, they're.
Yeah, you asked for
I told
the
you they're gonna-
standings update. Where did I have
Yeah,
this?
I mean, they're not going to win every game forever. But
They might.
Dude, it's
Like, tell me what game you're out of when McDavid and Draisaitl are in the lineup and playing well.
But
You're not.
remember, I was talking about not just how many points they're back, but how many teams are between them and a playoff spot. Mm-hmm. I forgot to mention that it's just a list of mid.
Do you want me to tell you right now?
Sure,
0.
they're in a playoff spot.
Teams between them and a playoff spot is
Oh,
0.
0.
They are the first team out of the Western wildcard race. It is. They have 27 points, and then next up is the Arizona Coyotes, who have 28, and the Edmonton Oilers have 2 games in hand.
Oh wow!
So if the Edmonton Oilers win their games in hand, they will be in a playoff spot.
What? And look at Nashville; those fucking cockroaches. Like, who's
guys-
on that team?
You guys put a lot of disrespect on the Predators in our previews. Just saying.
Because who's on that team?
Just saying.
Okay. I can live with that.
The Oilers
I can live with
are.
that.
I mean, they're pretty far back of
The
all
one
the
I
Pacific.
the one I can't live with is the Canucks one though. My previews were, yeah, they're way better than anybody could have expected.
Three
But
straight, baby.
The Preds, I'm like, nah, I'll live with that.
Can we just talk about how the Kings have lost 2 games on the road? You suck.
But the 2 teams I was really banking on are Seattle and Minnesota, and they have just been brutal. I'm so upset with Seattle. All they had to do was be career average players, and they would have been fine.
They straight up Super Mario starred their way through like 5 teams in a week and a half.
Yeah.
They can't score like Seattle.
Yeah, there's,
Oh, I was talking about Edmonton.
yeah,
Oh, no. Adam was talking about how disappointed he was in Seattle.
yeah. They can't defend.
By points percentage,
Terrible.
the Oilers are already better than Arizona. Wow.
The San Jose Sharks won again, Steve. They beat the Jets, who couldn't score. It was 2-1.
Embrace the truth. I'm a Sharks truther. They're good.
They're, I think, 29th now.
They're still like negative 50 goal differential or something because they just
53.
Wow. God.
Oh man.
Yeah, because they just got like
they got caved. They got caved in the first month.
slaughtered.
Yeah.
Slaughtered. Like a sub NHL team.
Yep.
10-1 in their first 11 games. Since then, they're better than like middle of the pack.
And one thing that happened at the beginning of the season, I'm like, how is that happening? The Ducks won a couple games, and then now they've come back down to earth where they're 1-9 in their last 10, and the Sharks have passed them in the standings. I was like, that makes a little bit more sense because the talent on the Sharks is there. Like they don't have a lot, but there's guys there who can they're at least competitive and can hold their own. Like the Ducks, I look as a wasteland.
Decor's a bit tough.
Yeah.
Dude, Mackenzie Blackwood and Capo Kakinen have held the fort, man.
Those are NHL goalies.
Those are NHL goals. Yeah, but like there was a time this season where it's like the Sharks are playing and they're starting Kakinen. Hammer whoever they're playing, put down $100 and win 4.
The greatest game of the season so far was Edmonton, San Jose.
Dude,
That night we all stayed up and watched it.
everyone, and I was live tweeting. I'm like, we're all sickos. We're
Yeah.
all pieces of shit for watching this.
What a fun game.
And then the Sharks won.
And then they did it.
Yep.
They won. No, they're not just 9-7-2 since the losing streak. They're 6-2-2 in their last 10.
Mm-hmm.
They're one of the hotter teams in the NHL.
They're good.
Legitimately.
Definitely not the Leafs, who are 9-1-3 in their last 14. Or sorry, 13.
They're straight up good.
Yeah.
Wow.
Straight up good.
I wanted to say, the Mikko Rantanen quote. We don't even need to play it, but the one where he was like, "Hey, my teammates."
I hate
dad was
Arturi
talking-
Lekkonen's dad.
Yeah. Arturi Lekkonen's dad was talking shit about me, basically. And Lekkonen's, by the way, injured. Everybody thought that was like Finnish humor, and I did too.
Oh, no.
Turns out it was absolutely true, and he's pissed.
Oh, he's mad.
Mm-hmm.
So Arturi Lekkonen's father,
He's a commentator on hockey in Finland.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's one of us, except in Finland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he said that Rantanen
Tribe.
this summer had too much going on and wasn't working hard.
Yeah,
So-
and I think he's saying through. I watched CJ's Insider Trading on TSN this morning, so I guess his dad is like trying to reach out to Mikko Rantanen to clarify, because the insinuation in the English translation is that he was partying, but Mikko Rantanen has a bunch of charitable and business obligations in Finland that he puts money into and that sort of thing, and I guess that's what it's like that might have distracted you anyway. Woo!
Not good.
Spicy.
That is very spicy. No,
Athletes
I
are funny,
saw
eh?
that.
Here's a quote that none of us ever would have even known about.
No.
And he's like, "That's my motivation tonight."
Dude, the Finnish contingent, the little Finnish contingent that follows around NHL teams, especially the Avalanche, they do a great job.
Yeah, they also get great interviews. The quotes
yeah.
and stuff. The players are very, very honest with them, which is something we're not used to in North America. Finland punches above its weight in sports. Like the amount of great Finnish Formula One drivers, you're like, it's a snowy country, and they're some of the best drivers ever from Finland.
Floorball.
Yep, floorball. There you go.
Sorry, I've gotten into it. I'm a champion, by the way. I don't know
Craig
if you know
Craig Berube was fired, and
Last night.
Yeah, last night, and obviously, what was it? Bannister,
Yes, his name
taking
is-
over.
That's funny for a reason that will be apparent late in December
Yeah.
for a bonus episode.
St. Louis general manager Doug Armstrong, this is from Elliot Friedman, says the team hired Brad Richards as a consultant to look over the team's power play and send some suggestions. Doug Armstrong also said this, and I thought you guys would find this interesting, because he did a press conference while we were doing the show today, so I don't have all the direct quotes, but Doug Armstrong on his tenure with the Blues. If I get fired in the next hour, or I get hit by a bus in the next hour, I don't feel today like I've left the Blues any better than where I found them. That's an awful feeling. So he's
What?
you won a cup.
What are you talking
I know,
about,
it's
Dougie?
crazy.
You need a hug?
But you know what, man?
What?
If you look at some of the moves, like the Pietrangelo thing, not choosing him was a disaster. They should have chosen him.
Sure.
Did they
chose-
not choose him, or did he just go?
No,
to
they
Vegas?
chose Torrey Krug.
Yeah.
They chose Torrey Krug's contract, and they thought they could get out without him.
And then they tried to trade Torrey Krug, and Krug said no.
I think they made some that bet is a bad one.
He's
Binnington
there-
has not panned out for them the way I think they thought.
You know what that reminds me of, big time?
Who?
Remember the Sens had to choose between Wade Redden and Zdeno Chara?
and they chose Redden.
They chose Redden.
Redden was out of the league in a year and a half.
It wasn't long.
Oh, no, he signed with New York. He signed with New York, and then he was out of the league.
He might have been traded to New York. I'm not sure. All I know is he was the highest paid player in the AHL for quite some time. No escrow as well.
My
That's why-
favorite one of that one is when the Canucks chose Luongo over Corey Schneider, but then also didn't choose Luongo. And
Yeah, they wouldn't play him.
They were like, okay, so
Eddie Lack.
we're gonna move Schneider because Luongo's our guy, and then we're not gonna play him and then trade him, so we're gonna get nothing out of this.
But it's okay because we have a guy who's going to replace him. Oh, wait, no, we don't. We're
Nope.
just going to have this enormous vacuum.
And be bad. Like it was such a strange
Just
era.
sit on our hands and wait until Jake Markstrom's good. Oh, good, he's good. Oh, we're going to let him leave to the Flames immediately.
Wade Redden signed with the New York Rangers on July 1st, 2008. It was a 6-year, $39 million deal. And
they chose him and lost him.
what's interesting about that deal is that is a history-making deal for one reason. Can you remember it?
No.
No.
When the New York Rangers found out that Wade Redden wasn't good enough anymore, they put him on waivers, and they sent him down. And back then, you could send somebody down and recapture their entire cap.
Wow.
So they got his entire cap back, and that's when the NHL, during the next CBA negotiation, said, yeah, no more of that.
Yeah, because wouldn't just everyone do that?
Yeah.
Isn't it funny that a deal that was struck in 2004, 2005, like we lost that season. So 2005, we strike a deal.
Yes.
It took 4 years for a GM to go, we could just send him down.
This is what we talk about all the time. Like, there's just a genuine lack of creativity in a lot of NHL front offices. There's more today.
Yeah.
Obviously, on account of there's a triple hard cap and most teams are over it. But like that was a dark time.
Dark time.
Of figuring stuff out.
With Armstrong having Drew Bannister be his new head coach and all that stuff, I think it is perfect that the Berube era in the Blues tenure ended with Ville Husso defeating Jordan Binnington.
Oh,
That was the other bad choice they made.
That was the straw that broke the camel's back. Husso getting his revenge on Mr. Binnington.
Krug over Pietrangelo and Binnington over Husso, and you can make the argument, they had to choose Binnington. They'd already re-signed him. I don't care. Find a way.
I mean, hockey should just be called goalie. Like if you decide you're not going to get shit for Binnington, even if you got to pay to get rid of him, might have been worth it, man.
What do they say? What do they say about air? When you have air, you think about it less than 1% of the time. When you don't have air, it is 100%. It's like when you have a goalie, you don't really think about it, but when you don't, you think about it all the time.
Yeah, no, the hockey
when you
one
can
is if you have a good goalie, it's 70% of your game. If you have a bad goalie, it's 100%.
Yeah. That's it.
And now Ville Husso hasn't had the best year. Like Alex Lyon's going to take his starting job, but that's besides the point.
Still perfect.
I mean, Joel Hofer, we thought would take Binnington's job by now. But.
Yeah. The Blues, it's such a weird situation because they're not that far out, but I guess this little losing streak is like too much to take, and they're
mid.
And they're not on the way up. They're not on the way down. They're not on the way up, and some of that falls on the general manager. Obviously, I guess Armstrong thought that the lineup was better than what they're getting out of it, so you switch the coach to see. But now that you fire the head coach, the classic thing. Next up is the players. So Doug Armstrong, you fire the head coach. Now there's no onus left on anybody else on the team besides the players. So he's now free to make the moves in the lineup that he wants to, and he can't say like, it's the coach's fault and all that stuff. So I think it's a smart decision by him to go wholesale changes with the Blues lineup.
Pittsburgh, buckle up. That's Dubas's favorite trading partner.
Yeah.
Loves
Also,
making deals with Doug Armstrong.
Dubas said by the All-Star break, they will do a full look at the roster and the performance and make some decisions.
I'm telling you, Penguins, Blues trade in January. It's coming.
Former Sabres tough guy Rob Ray, who is now the color commentator between the benches, took a puck to the face. I don't know if you saw the picture, and he kept broadcasting.
Direct to the forehead.
And it's a big forehead. Rob Ray has a pumpkin head.
He sure does.
As a guy who has one too.
Him and Ty Domi both have permanently big heads because they swelled each other up. Those two fought 500 times.
Yes, they did. I
don't know what the real number is. It's probably closer to 6.
While we were doing the show, and this came out last night, Ted Leonsis, who is the owner of the Washington Capitals and the Washington Wizards, has agreed in principle to move the teams to an arena site that will be built by 2028 near the airport, one of the two airports. I think it's Reagan.
Yes.
Basically move them out of Washington. In response to that, Washington, D.C.'s mayor, Muriel Bowser, she's a D.C. Council chairman, and D.C. Council Chairman Phil Mendelson released a bill Tuesday night that would keep the teams in the city. The bill proposed by district leaders would provide Monumental Sports and Entertainment a $500 million split over 3 years for renovations to Capital One Arena, which is where they currently play. Now, I thought you would find this interesting. I have not seen the press conference. Obviously, we've been on the air. But during a press conference, usually you're there so that reporters can get clarity on a situation. Ted Leonsis apparently walked out, they made their statements, and took 0 questions from reporters.
Yeah, I thought these quotes were very funny back-to-back on my timeline. Ian Olin from Russian Machine Never Breaks. Ted Leonsis, hold me accountable. I promise we'll do the right things the right way. to all the communities we serve. And then, like minutes later, from Sam Fortier, Ted Leonsis declined to take questions from reporters following the event. And Ian goes, there is a time and a place to ask questions, and apparently it's not at a press conference.
Ted Leonsis is he's a fucking criminal right now. Like, he's being a giant asshole about this. Like all billionaires, this man is right now acting like the cheapest person on earth. Like, he has no money. The reason he wants to move the Wizards and the Washington Capitals is because the city won't give him $600 million. That's what he wants out of the taxpayers of Washington, D.C. And now he's forced them to pony up $500 million. That was the original ask, was $600. And for years, they refused to do it because Capital One Arena does need upgrades. It's built in 1997, and the lifespan of an arena for that much use is about 20 years. You know, and then you
It's getting smaller, right?
And then you need the major upgrades to get it into the modern times, because every 20 years is kind of a new rebuild that you need to do.
And it's kind of right in line with Ovechkin's career, too.
Yeah, and he wants $600 million out of taxpayer money to do it because his company is going to pony up $200 million, and it's about $800 million in upgrades that they want to do. So now he's gotten the city to commit to $500 million, and he's worth $2.8 billion. This man can fund it himself, but he wants to do it through taxpayer money because, like most billionaires, he's a cheap asshole. And it's a disgrace that he's going to move this team 30 minutes down the road to Northern Virginia when the perfect location for it is in the middle of D.C.
Yep.
It's a real shame.
Yeah, all I've seen from locals is this friggin' sucks. And I haven't really seen anyone from Virginia like, yeah, fuck yeah. Also, like, I don't feel like it was ever a big deal to the people who live there, just because I didn't realize how close together, like,
Virginia, Maryland, and
Baltimore, DC. I had no idea how close together they were until I went there for the book thing.
The Washington Commanders play in Maryland. Like, that's where FedEx Field is.
Like, I did not know that.
Yeah.
I did.
Because it's right there. You know?
They're all right there. So I'm confused now. I mean, in part because Leonsis didn't answer any fucking questions. Are they going? Like, are they leaving for sure?
So no,
they're not leaving now.
Now that he's made this like hard line, I'm gonna break ground in Virginia and everything. Now DC is coming back to him and being like, okay, we're gonna try and pass this legislation where we give you $500 million to upgrade the arena, so that maybe you can change your mind here and stay. But he's come out and he's posturing and being like, I'm committed to going to Northern Virginia, and they're like, okay, but like maybe not. You know, come here, stick back in the. Is it the mayor? You said it's not the mayor who made the new legislation, Adam.
Yeah, the mayor and the councilman Mendelson,
the councilwoman who I think proposed the actual bill.
Yeah,
they're like, okay, what about this? So there's a shot here that they just upgrade Capital One and everything stays the same, but we'll see if he's okay with $500 million. Like, I needed my extra $100 million, so I'm gonna go to Virginia.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
So Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin helped share these plans to make Potomac Yard the new home of the sports arena. It will be there will be a full 70-acre district. So it'll be the new Wizards practice facility, state of the art, monumental sports network media studio. Nothing like SDPN studios, though, I bet. 6,000 seat performance arts venue, expanded esports facility, global headquarters for Ted Leonsis' company, new retail, restaurants, conference, and community gathering spaces too. Like, to be honest with you, it looks pretty spectacular. It's just that I think, you know, it does look like from the renderings like it could be really cool.
Yeah, but
anything you sink $500 million into will look cool.
Of course, it's going to be a modern facility with a whole complex around. Of course, it's going to look cool. But the reason he's going there is because he doesn't have to pay most of it.
Yeah.
The Virginia is willing to say, we're going to fund this with taxpayer money. So Ted Leonsis wants to run away and go do that because he can spend less money, even though he's a billionaire.
Sources
I love when the little guy wins, don't you?
ABC 7 News that Monumental Sports and Entertainment, which is the company that owns the teams, plans for expansion will not replace Capital One Arena. They hope to update the arena and continue using it for concerts, NCAA men's and women's games. The WNBA Mystics and the DC Go-Go also remain there as well. So it's this is fascinating because you've got a local government in DC which is its own district, going up against the governor's office in Virginia. And Ted Leonsis, the billionaire, is like, well, I'm going to play you both off each other until somebody offers an outrageous package I can't say no to.
To me, it doesn't look good for like Caps and Wizards fans who want the team to stay in DC. I think Ted Leonsis is going to chase the more money, and he probably will commit to this plan. But I hope like that what they've offered now to upgrade that arena from the Washington City Council, like I hope that's enough for him to reverse course on this whole thing. Like, because it's a real shame.
It seems like Caps fans aren't happy about it. Yeah, at least the ones I follow.
It's out of the way. Like it's 30 minutes down the road.
Also, like at the time that this all takes place, like when they will allegedly move, there's a real good chance that team sucks ass. There's a real good chance.
Yeah.
So I
which
don't know
is a huge factor in this whole thing.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. You're going to have this. Like, I don't know. I'm just saying you're doing all this to get as much money as possible out of these two governments. But then you're probably going to have a hockey team that no one's going to want to go watch on account of you're going to stink and lose hockey.
I think you can turn around that team before then.
Probably.
You think so?
Yeah.
Well, like I look at the Washington Bullets and Wizards, like they're one of the most poorly run franchises in the NBA and have been for forever.
Ugh.
Yeah, like they're not good and they won't be good for a while, and it's falls a lot on the owner and the way he's been running the team forever.
They've wanted Masai Ujiri for years. I wonder if like I know Masai's wanted to stay here. I think they offered him a piece of the franchise. Like that's how badly they wanted him.
Wow.
Thanks for the ring. That's enough.
If Masai and the Raptors go their separate ways, I wonder if Masai takes over the Wizards, because that's been a conversation for a while. I wanted to leave you guys with this, unless we're doing a press conference. Are we doing a press conference?
We don't have to.
Okay. I want to leave you with this story
Friday,
because we were talking a little bit about the Olympics in Milan. There was a $100 million plus budget error.
As one will have.
Now, people were like, hey, this is why Gary's upset about the hockey arena. No, don't let him tell you that. There's a hockey arena already there that sits 4,000 people, which is their local team.
It's an NHL size.
And it's actually, I think it's international sized. And that is an NHL sized arena.
No, I mean NHL in terms of seating.
Seats, yeah. It's good enough for the Coyotes. It should be fine for the Olympics. This $100 million plus budget error has left Italy potentially unable to host sliding events at the 2026 Winter Olympics.
What are sliding events?
So that's bobsled, skeleton, luge, anything that's it's a pretty big event.
Kind of under-discussed thing about Italy is they have no money.
And Italy is really, from what I understand, Italy's really good at that stuff. They're great at alpine sports because they have mountains.
I thought you were going to say it not having money.
Oh, no, I don't.
Right now, they're killing it.
Killing it a lot, yeah. So
they're killing it at not having money right now.
Italy's bobsled, skeleton, and luge events could be held in, this is the backup plan,
Virginia.
Lake Placid,
Northern
New York.
Virginia.
What?
So, Front Office Sports is reporting.
What are we doing?
It's not going to happen.
It can't happen.
Imagine
you work your whole life to go to the Olympics and it's like, sorry, you can't go to Italy.
Whoever reported that,
New York.
Whoever reported that's fishing for clicks. That's not happening.
What are
David
we
Rumsey
doing?
from Front Office
There's
Sports.
no fucking way.
How does that get beyond what if we did this? Dude.
The American, German, and Austrian, and also Swiss Olympic committees have been contacted to serve as potential sliding hosts if necessary.
Switzerland. Next door.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess
it's not being held in New York.
Hilarious, though. If Lake Placid ends up holding the Winter Olympic events, medal ceremonies would be held in New York to honor the winners, which is hilarious.
Why stop there?
1,000 miles away.
Do they still have the facilities in Nagano? Let's just go there.
Well, I guess
Bring them back to Calgary.
Why not?
All of them have been talked to: American, German, Austrian, and Swiss. The Americans are the only ones who said, "Yeah, we'll take it."
It's not going to go to Lake fucking Placid.
No way is it going to Lake Placid. But I just thought you'd find that interesting.
That's insane that got past. Steve, you're so right. That got past. Like, what if this happened?
What if we did this? What if, okay, see this ocean? All right, go to the other side of that. And then, like...
How did nobody say no?
The problem I'm having with this story, like from a hockey perspective with the arena, is like I have a deep distrust of the NHL. And then there's the International Olympic Committee.
Yeah.
Are the worst sporting body on planet Earth.
They're like a
Besides maybe FIFA.
Yeah, I was just going to say FIFA's got to be a little worse.
They're like neck and neck for 1-2.
That's why when they get all high and mighty about drugs and sport, like Dick Pound, his real name.
Yeah.
I can't believe that's real.
Who's the head of anti-doping, also a Canadian guy. When he gets uppity about the NHL and he's like, oh, there's doping and they're not checking. I'm like, are you kidding? Look at your own backyard. All right. Let's talk about doping. Let's talk about corruption. Let's talk about sports washing. Dick. I can't.
Hey. Oh, is his name?
Yeah.
One thing I've heard throughout the years that I don't think is the worst idea is you build Olympic Island or Olympic City. So you have one location.
I love that.
And that's where the Olympics is held every 4 years or
No.
every 2 years.
No, I think we should bankrupt one city worldwide every 4 years. Every 2 years.
Yeah, because that is how the modern Olympics have come. Is nobody wants to host the Olympics because you lose millions of dollars billions of dollars every single time the Olympics come through, and you're left with these facilities that sit dormant for years and are unused eventually until they tear them down.
Well, it's unless you're a dictatorship and it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know, that's why they go to so many
the Sochi
dictatorships.
Olympics, Sochi right now is a wasteland.
Yes.
Like none of that is being used, and they were supposed to like turn it into this like global city and all this stuff after we have the Olympics, and now it's just sitting there.
That was never the goal.
It's a beach town.
It is. It's where Russians go to the beach.
Yeah.
Yeah, but none of it's being used
agreed.
as was intended.
Sorry.
The pictures of the Greek Olympic ones from 2004. It's like
Greece also doing great.
yeah.
Yes.
Well, this is the thing, man. I agree with that. The other thing they used to do with the Olympics in more, I guess, times where they weren't splashing money so much is they would just use the facilities they had.
No, you must build new everything.
Like, why do you have to build new everything? You don't
because
have
the
to.
money.
I got one. If they're losing money basically every time they do this, why do they want it so bad? I don't get it.
What do you mean?
A lot. It's politics.
What? Like, I brought the Olympics here. Okay, did it make us money? Well, no. Well,
No, but it's
that's not a feather in your
I
cap.
brought the Olympics here. Here's all of the stuff I built. Like I'm gonna get all of these new buildings and facilities and sports places and all these entertainment complexes, and I brought the Olympics, and it's politics.
I want to know about the stuff in Toronto for the Commonwealth Games. Like, remember they built a bunch of stuff like in like Scarborough?
Canary District, they built all those condos to house the people, and then they sold them. They sold the condos. That's why the Canary District exists.
Which is good because it was previously fuck all.
Yeah, well, if you go, it was just empty. And then if you go to Calgary, the Saddle Dome was built for the Olympics. All the Canadian skiers and bobsledders and everybody, they all train at the Calgary 1988 Olympic facilities. They have used them ever since. Because in Canada, if you did that, like if you had an Olympics and then let all that stuff fall to shit, people would lose their minds.
I think Vancouver, I was trying to look up the stats, but I can't find it. I think Vancouver's like the one Olympics of the last, I think it's like 15 that was profitable for the community and for the city. Like the way they managed the Olympics was actually the way you're supposed to do it. And they are the exception to the rule.
And all it took was Canada winning gold in more things than they've ever won gold in, and a storybook Disney ending to hockey that will basically never be replicated.
But
That's all it took.
The housing that they built, the Olympic Village that they built, is just like now their Liberty Village. You know, like they did actually a smart way to how to build the Olympics facilities out in Vancouver.
And now housing in Vancouver, notably very cheap.
Yeah, super cheap.
Yeah.
Dude.
They say it generated about $1.05 billion into the Canadian GDP.
Wow, you could like hold Virginia hostage twice for that. You could basically ransom your NHL and NBA team twice.
I think there's a reason why the States keeps putting them back in the same cities. Like Lake Placid's had them twice, and California's had them a few times. They're like LA has had
They're
them.
going back to LA next one?
Yeah, because it's like we already have it.
Yeah.
And every once in a while, the IOC has to say, well, yeah, we do work with democracies too.
Yeah.
So
That's why Beijing had 2 Olympics in like 2 years.
yeah.
Because they were like, all right, we're already set up.
All right,
Let's do the next one. Let's do winter this time.
No one's going to go, right? On account of the pandemic. Yeah, we don't care. It's fine.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Fine.
Stupid. Anyway,
Fucking corrupt.
That was the most visually strange Olympics of all
they
time.
were.
Just the biggest stadiums ever created in human history. No one there.
Do you remember the Super Bowl during the pandemic where half the crowd was like fake crowd?
What? No.
Yeah, they had like cardboard cutouts.
Oh, I do remember that.
You guys remember? Yeah.
Was that the Super Bowl or just?
Or maybe I'm thinking about the World Series. Both of them.
They held the World Series.
It's the World
I think it
Series
was the
I'm
World
thinking because they
Series.
held the World Series in the neutral. They held it in Florida, right? Because Florida was like, we're open.
And that guy on, I can't remember what team or what the guy's name was, but they're like, you have COVID. You can't play. And then they won, and he came out and celebrated with everyone and just went, congrats, boys. Super glad that we won.
He was on the field celebrating. But yeah, half the crowd was like cardboard cut. It looked really cool, but like, it was awful.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Wild. The last 5 years.
Hey guys, what's your favorite COVID memory?
Yeah. Not seeing Steve or Jesse for years. Or we didn't see Jesse. I didn't see Steve for like a year. Just every day on the
I saw
podcast.
Adam. I saw you every day.
Every day. Every fucking day.
No,
Go to work.
I came and waved at you on your birthday when you were going through a divorce.
Yeah.
On a rainy day. It was really happy.
Yeah. And then and that was it. We couldn't even hug each other. That was it.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It was dark, man. Some dark times.
So anyway, it's nice now.
It is nice. All right. So we'll wrap it up there, and we will see you Friday. It's going to be fun. CJ show tomorrow, too. Yeah.
The Steve Dangle Podcast. Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake. Connection complete.